Hello everyone. So I'm back. So I hope you're all fine. So last week we have already have about the triangles and angles. Okay? So let's focus on triangles now. Okay? So last week we have already discussed about the types of triangles, and of course I have shown you the different figures of those triangles. So we all know that we have two ways on how you are going to name the type of the triangle. So the first one is according to sides. So according to sides, we have three types of triangles. We have scalene, isosceles, and equilateral triangle. So when we say scalene, that is a triangle with no sides equal. Isosceles, rather, is a triangle wherein you have two sides equal. While equilateral is a triangle wherein all the three sides are having equal measures. Okay? While according to angles, we have four types. We have acute, right, obtuse, and equiangular. When we say acute triangle, that is a triangle wherein the measure of all the three angles of that triangle are less than 90 degrees. While right triangle is a triangle wherein one angle is measuring 90 degrees, exactly 90 degrees. While obtuse triangle is a triangle wherein one angle measures greater than 90 degrees but less than 180 degrees. While equiangular triangle is a triangle wherein all the three angles have the same measure. Okay? Then of course, we also have the property of the triangle wherein the measure of all the angles of a triangle is equal to 180 degrees. So again, the sum of all the measure of the angles of a triangle is equal to 180 degrees. Okay? So this time, let's have a short recap, but this time you will not see any figure. Okay? So how are we going to do this? You are going to classify each triangle. Okay? Since I have no figure, so you are going to draw a picture for you to help. Okay? So for number 1, triangle DOG with segment DO is congruent to segment OG. Okay? So what do you think is the type of triangle? So again, we have here triangle DOG. Okay? And then, so we have here DOG. And then it has the condition that segment DO, this one, is congruent to segment OG, so this one. So therefore, what kind of triangle is this? That's correct. So we have here isosceles triangle based on the given condition. So this is isosceles triangle. Next, let's have number 2. Triangle CAT. Okay, with the measure of angle A is equal to 90 degrees. Okay, so the triangle CAT. Okay, so we have here triangle CAT wherein this angle is measuring 90 degrees. So what kind of triangle is this? That's correct. So we have here right triangle. Next, let's proceed with number 3. Triangle PET with PE is congruent to ET, which is also congruent to TP. Okay? So again, we have here triangle PET. Okay? And then, it is said that segment PE is congruent to segment ET, which is also congruent to segment TP. Okay? So, since we already have the tick mark, so what kind of triangle is this? That's correct. So, we have here, yes, equilateral triangle. Okay, next, number 4. We have triangle PIG. Okay? Triangle PIG. Okay? Okay, so we have here triangle PIG, wherein IP is not congruent or not equal to segment PG and not equal to segment GI. So what kind of triangle is this? That's correct. We have Iscallian triangle because no congruent sides. Okay? How about this last question? Triangle HEN with the measure of angle H is 145 degrees. The measure of angle E is 15 degrees. And the measure of angle N is 20 degrees. For example, we have here this one. Okay? So we have here our H. So maybe H is here, which is 145 degrees. Our E is here because this is 15 degrees. And our N is here because this is 20 degrees. It looks larger than this angle. Okay? So what kind of triangle is this? That's correct. This is obtuse triangle. Okay, so it seems that you have familiarized yourself on the kinds or types of triangles according to size and according to angles. Okay, so this time, let's now have this figure. Okay, so what can you see on the figure? Yes, they are triangles, of course. So, how are we going to use this for our discussion? You are going to have the term congruent. Okay? Congruent or not. Okay? Do you have any idea about the word congruent? If you don't have, okay? So, when you say congruent, those are the angles or segments with the same measure or equal measure. Okay? So, let's have this activity. You are going to identify whether the picture shows congruent or not congruent. So, let's have this one. Do you think it is congruent or they are congruent or not congruent? That's correct. Obviously, they are not congruent. Okay? So, obviously, they have different sizes. Okay? Next, number 2. How about this one? That's correct. We have congruent. Next, this one. Correct. Not congruent. How about this? Correct. They are congruent. This one, we have. Obviously, they are not congruent. Correct. How about this? Okay, so very obvious also that they are not congruent. Next. Yes, they are congruent. Next. Yes, they are not congruent. Correct. How about this one? Obviously, they are not congruent. Next. For the last picture we have here, yes, they are congruent. Okay? So, is there any question about the word congruent and not congruent or the phrase not congruent? Okay, so again, when we say congruent, they have the same size, same shape. Okay, so let's now have these figures. Okay, so what have you seen on this slide? Yes, they are triangles, obviously. Because this day, we are going to have triangle congruence. Okay, so based on the previous activity, when we say congruent, they have the same measure, same size, same shape. Okay, so how are we going to have? Okay, kindly get a piece of 1/2 crosswise. Okay, then after that, draw a diagonal. Cut along its diagonal to form 2 triangles. Okay? Again, you are going to draw a diagonal. You will not fold your 1/2 crosswise because you will have different result if you will just fold the 1/2 crosswise. Again, draw a diagonal. So, I hope you have your pencil and the ruler beside you for you to draw a diagonal. Okay? So, you are going to connect the 2 opposite angles of your 1/2 crosswise. And then, we have place 1 triangle on top of the other. Okay, so as you have cut your triangle, so kindly put or place 1 triangle on top of the other triangle. Okay, as you have placed 1 triangle on top of the other, so let's have this question. Is one larger or is smaller than the other? Okay, so they are the same. So, There is no larger and there is no smaller triangle that was formed, okay, or that were formed. Okay? Do they appear as one? Obviously, they appear as one. Okay? So what must be true about the parts of two triangles? What do you think? Yes, since they appear as one, so the parts of the triangle should be congruent or maybe congruent. Okay, so for further discussion, let's do this. Okay, so let us investigate the two triangular pieces you have cut. Okay, so let us name the triangles as triangle FAT and triangle BIG. Okay, so kindly put the name of the triangles on your one half crosswise earlier that are now triangles. Okay? So we have formed here two right triangles. Okay? So I hope you have already labeled. Okay? So in this triangle, your right angle is with A, angle A. And on the other triangle, the right angle is on, yes, I. Okay? So, there are these 6 different ways to name a triangle. Okay? So, let us have first the triangle FAT. Okay? So, let us have this triangle first. Okay? So, oops. A is missing. Okay. If you are going to start at this letter, so you may name this triangle as triangle FAT. If you are going to start at this vertex or angle, so you may name this as triangle ATF. Okay? And if you are going to start with this, you may name this as triangle TFA. Okay? Or if you are going to, okay, perform the operation or the labeling of this triangle in counterclockwise direction or, okay, in another way, so you may also name this, okay, as triangle FTA, okay, or triangle TAF. And you may also have here triangle AFT. Okay? So, at least that you already have your vertices. Okay? So, you have 3 different vertices on our triangles. Okay? And of course, on the second triangle, you may have triangle BIG, triangle IGB, triangle GBI, or triangle BGI, triangle GIB, or triangle IBG. Okay? So again, in a triangle, you have 6 different ways on how you are going to name that triangle. Okay? So I hope it is clear. Okay? So let us have again this slide or these 2 triangles. Okay? So let us have the vertices. Okay? So what do you think are the vertices of these 2 triangles? On the first triangle, we have, yes, the vertices FAT. And on the second triangle, we have the vertices BIG. Okay? Then on the term of the angles, okay, so we have, let us just have the one letter angle. So we have here angle F, angle A, and angle T on the first triangle. On the second triangle, we have angle B, angle I, and angle G. Okay? And then, let us have the sides. Okay? So, since we already have the parts of the triangles. So, on the first triangle, we have segment FA, we have segment AT, and segment TF, or side FA, side AT, and side TF. Okay? On the second triangle, we have segment BI, segment IG, and segment GB. Okay? So, we will just read this as segment because we all know that a triangle is formed out of 3 line segments. Okay? So, how are we going to have the corresponding angles and corresponding sides? Okay, so let us have first the corresponding angles. By the way, do you have any idea about the word corresponding? Okay, so if you don't have, so when we say corresponding angles, those are the angles wherein they have the same place of the other triangle, or katugma in Tagalog. Okay, or if you are going to place one triangle on top of the other triangle, so they are on the same place. Okay, so I have here the question. Okay, so this symbol will be read as corresponds to. So again, so that symbol will be read as corresponds to. Okay? Angle F corresponds to, okay? So we have here angle F. Which angle on the other triangle is in place with angle F? Okay, so that's correct. We have angle B. And then on the first triangle, angle A, which corresponds to blank on the second triangle. We have, correct, we have angle I. And then angle T corresponds to, correct, we have angle G. Okay? So these are the corresponding angles of these two triangles. Okay? So let's now proceed with the corresponding sides. Okay? So we have here segment FA. Okay? So which part, okay, so we have here the segment FA. Which part of this triangle BIG represents or correspond with segment FA? Which do you think? That's correct. We have segment BI. Okay? How about this segment AT? Okay? Which corresponds with this side? Yes, that is segment IG. And the third is segment TF, the last side, we have segment GB is correct. Okay? So since we have these two triangles, so we may say that triangle FAT corresponds to what? Yes, so we have here triangle BIG. Okay? So for you to name the two congruent triangles or two corresponding triangles, whatever direction you have used in naming the first triangle is the direction that you are going to use on the second triangle. Since we have here triangle FAT, so that's why it is corresponding with triangle BIG. For example, I have used triangle ATF. Okay? So, what should be the name of the other triangle? So, again, triangle ATF corresponds to what? Yes, so we have here triangle IGB. Again, whatever is the direction that you have used in naming the first triangle is also the direction that you are going to use on the second triangle for you to name that triangle. Okay, question? Okay, so let's now proceed with these two triangles. Okay, so let's now have the corresponding angles. Okay, so angle A corresponds to what? Yes, angle X. Okay, blank corresponds to angle Y. That's correct, angle B. Angle C corresponds to what? Correct, angle Z. Okay, so let's now have the corresponding sides. Segment XZ corresponds to, correct, segment AC. Segment AB corresponds to segment XY is correct. And then segment YZ corresponds to segment BC is correct. Okay, so thus triangle ABC corresponds to what? Correct, triangle XYZ. Okay, any questions so far? Okay. Okay, so what can you say about angle A and angle X, angle B and angle Y, angle C and angle Z? That's correct. They are corresponding parts of the triangles. Okay. How about segment XZ and segment AC, segment YZ and segment BC, segment XY and segment AB? What can you say about them? Yes, they are corresponding sides of the two triangles. Okay. So how is triangle ABC related to triangle XYZ? Yes, they are corresponding triangles. And we have to take note that congruent parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Okay? So, since they are corresponding parts or the corresponding angles have the same measure, are congruent. Okay? Then, the corresponding sides also have the same measure or they are also congruent. Okay? Can you give me an example of congruent triangles in real life? Yes, that's a good example. The pizza. Okay? Why? Because if you do not divide the pizza equally, okay, so you may result to, yes, discussion with your siblings. Okay? But if you have the same measure of your pizza, then all of you can eat the pizza equally. Okay? Another example. Yes, the trusses. Okay? So those are the triangular shape, okay, in quadrangle. If you are going to look up, okay, at the roof, then beside or lower the roof, there are equilateral triangles or sometimes isosceles triangles there. Okay? So those are the examples of congruent triangles in real life. Okay? So how are we going to list down the corresponding parts of the given triangles? Okay, so let us have these two triangles. Oh, it seems that we have different figures, but if you are going to imagine the other triangle, okay, if you are going to rotate that, okay, so how are we going to have these questions? How are we going to answer these questions? Okay, so for number 1, we are going to list pairs or 3 pairs of corresponding congruent angle. So we have here angle F. Which do you think is congruent to angle F? That's correct. So we have angle J. Hey, how about letter B? Angle blank is congruent to angle Y. Yes, that is angle M. How about letter C? So which are the parts that have not seen on the slide here? Yes, so we have angle U is congruent to, yes, angle O. Okay, so let's have number 2. The 3 pairs of corresponding congruent sides. Okay, so we have here, yes, segment FU is congruent to segment JO. Again, corresponding parts are also congruent. Okay, how about letter B? Blank is congruent to segment OY. Okay, that's correct. We have segment UN. And for the last, we have, that's correct, we have segment NF is congruent to segment YG. Okay, question? So let's proceed. How about this one? You're going to complete each congruence statement. So we have here, triangle ACB is congruent to what name of the other triangle? Okay, so we have here triangle ECD is correct. Okay, so we have here 1 tick mark, so that's why this is the first. Then, so first also. Then the second one is this angle or this vertex, so this is also the second. And then we have here the third one, so this is also the third one. So you will just look for the tick marks. Okay, next, let's have this one. Triangle ABC is congruent to triangle what? That's correct. We have triangle DEF. Okay. How about this one? Triangle GHK is congruent to what? Yes, that is triangle GTK. That's correct. So let us use the concept of congruence and correspondence in answering this slide. So given triangle GUD is congruent to triangle AYD, complete each statement. Okay? So again, angle G corresponds to what? Correct. So we have here angle A. Blank corresponds to angle U. That's correct. Angle Y. Segment DY corresponds to? Correct. Segment DU. Angle D corresponds to? Of course, angle D. Segment GD corresponds to? Segment AD is correct. Segment UD corresponds to? Segment YD is correct. Therefore, triangle DGU is congruent to, yes, triangle DAY. Okay? So, any question? Okay, so again, corresponding angles are pairs of angles whose vertices are paired in a given correspondence between two triangles, while corresponding sides are the pairs of sides whose endpoints are the vertices that are paired in a given correspondence between two triangles. So two triangles are congruent if their vertices can be paired, so their corresponding sides are congruent and corresponding angles are congruent. Okay? So these are the symbols that you have seen on our discussion earlier. So this symbol will be read as corresponds to. This is the symbol for triangle, of course, the symbol for congruent, and the symbol for angle. Okay? So, let's have this. I can do this. Given triangle PJM is congruent to triangle PJO, find the measure of each of the following. So, let us have letter A, the measure of angle JPM. Okay, so we have here, yes, 42 degrees. Why? Because, okay, so this angle corresponds with this angle. So they are congruent. Next, angle POJ. Okay, so you are going to look for the measure of this angle. Yes, so this is 110 degrees. Okay, because angle M corresponds with angle O and they are congruent. Okay? Next, angle PJO. Okay? So PJO. So how are we going to find for the measure of this? Okay? So since we have here 110 degrees plus 42 degrees is equal to, yes, 152. So 180 minus 152 is equal to, yes, so this is 28 degrees. Okay, so rather we have here to write 28 degrees. Next, we have the segment JM. Yes, so this is 10.5 because they are corresponding with each other. So this is also 10.5. And segment PO, okay, is 7. Why? Because segment PM, which corresponds to 7PO, is 7. So that's why you also have here 7. Okay? So any question? Okay? So I have here another question. So you are going to challenge yourself. If you have time, you may answer these questions, and if you're free, you can send me your answer through Messenger so that I can give you additional points. Okay? So this is for number 1, and this is for number 2. Okay? So if you have your knowledge, if you have understood what I have discussed, so you can answer this. Okay? So that's all for this day. Thank you.